Dear students, I am Dr. Nalini R, serving as Associate Professor in the Department of MBA at Maharani's Women's Commerce and Management College, Mysuru. In this session, I will be presenting to you on the topic Research Plan, which is a part of the subject Business Research Methods learned by the second semester MBA students of the University of Mysore. A research plan is a systematic plan prepared for directing a research study. Like how in the case of an individual, before he starts constructing a house or a building, he will have a blueprint of his house or the building. In the case of research also, a researcher needs to prepare a research plan. The research plan will state what are the objectives of the research project, and it will provide the guidelines for what is to be done to realize the objectives set. Thus, a research plan is a master plan for executing a research project. A research plan is also called as a research proposal. Let us now know about the contents of a research plan. A research plan will start with an introduction. In the introduction, the researcher will place the historical perspective relating to the problem that he has chosen for study, and he will state what is the need for conducting a study on the chosen topic, the rationale behind it, and what he intends to study in this particular research, and the researcher's interest in the study must be precisely stated as a part of the introduction. Say for example, a study is conducted on e-banking services by public sector banks in India. So in the introductory part, the researcher will look at it from the historical perspective, like when the e-banking services have started in India, and what is the volume of transactions that are covered through e-banking services, and what is the value of the transactions that are covered, and what are the developments that have taken place in the past so many years, and what percentage of the entire value of transactions are covered through e-banking services. So in this way, the problem will be placed in its historical perspective in the introductory part, and the introduction must also bring out why the researcher wants to study this particular problem. So what is his precise interest in the problem that is chosen for the study. The next is the statement of the problem. This is also otherwise called as a problem statement. The research problem should be well defined. It has to point out its core nature and importance. The issues relating to the problem may also be stated in this part, because statement of the problem gives a clear direction to the research problem. In the same example, we can take a study on e-banking services by public sector banks in India means it gives a very clear direction to the researcher as to what he has to study about. He wants to study about the e-banking services of which institutions of public sector undertakings were in India. So like this, a very well defined problem gives a clear direction to the research process. The next part is the review of literature. On the topic that is chosen for the study, some studies might have been already conducted by somebody else. So a review of available literature will bring information relating to those studies. So the results of such past studies conducted in the chosen area from different perspectives must be a part of the research plan. So in the review of literature, the research gap identified by the researcher will have to be brought out. So he has to justify why this particular research is undertaken, considering the results of past studies in the chosen topic. If he is going to conduct a similar study as the studies that have been conducted in the past, he has to bring out what is the difference that his study is going to make in the chosen area. Thus, the review of literature will have to bring out the results of past studies conducted in the topic that is chosen for the research, and it has to identify the research gap. The next part of the research plan is the scope of the study. In this part, the researcher has to state what is the scope of his research with respect to the geographical area to be covered, the reference period, the type of institutions or respondents to be studied, and the perspective from which the problem is going to be analyzed, the issues to be analyzed, and so on. Thus, the scope of study will give a direction to the researcher. The next important part is the objectives of the study. See, the objectives of the study can be stated either in the statement form or in the question form. For example, if the objectives are set in the statement form, they could be like to identify the factors. Say for example, in a study on factors determining the share prices, you can have one of the objectives to be to identify the factors determining the share prices in Indian stock market. You can have another objective as to examine the nature of relationship between any two variables. Say for example, you can have one of the objectives to be to examine the nature of relationship between stock prices and the indices. You would have selected few stocks from NSE or BSE, and you want to study about the movement of stock prices in accordance with the benchmark indices, the Nifty or Sensex. So you can state there one of the objectives as to examine the nature of relationship between the stock prices and the benchmark indices. Or you can state the objectives as to study the impact of. You will have two variables. Say for example, in a study on the impact of FDI on Indian stock market, you can state one of the objectives as to study the impact of FDI on Indian stock market. So these are just some of the examples to show how the objectives can be stated. A question arises in the minds of the researchers as to how many objectives can be set. See, the number of objectives are not limited. There is no minimum or maximum number of objectives to be set for a research, but that depends upon the time and resources available at the disposal of the researcher. But the researcher has to be careful in setting the objectives which are challenging but which should not be impossible. The next part of the research plan is the conceptual model. So this is where a researcher formulates and develops the structure of relationships among the variables he is investigating. A conceptual model will bring out the idea of the researcher relating to how he is relating the various variables that he has considered for his study. When a conceptual model is developed in a logical manner, it will provide a rigor to the research process. Building a conceptual model requires a thorough understanding of the basic theoretical knowledge relating to the problem that is chosen for study by the researcher. Here I have given a simple example of a conceptual model relating to the factors determining the customer satisfaction. So in this model, the customer satisfaction with respect to hotels has been considered. So the customer satisfaction is dependent on food taste, speed of service and staff performance. Out of the many factors that are influencing a customer satisfaction, the researcher has identified these three variables to be important, and he has built a model for his study. So these three variables are the independent variables, and the dependent variable is the customer satisfaction. See, nowadays statistical softwares are available for building the conceptual model. AMOS, which comes as a part of the SPSS, is one kind of the software that can be used for building the conceptual model. So once the conceptual model is built, it will show what is the idea of the researcher in clear terms. The next part of the research plan is the hypothesis. Hypothesis means testable assumptions of the study, or they are the possible answers to the research questions set by the researcher. There is no need for hypothesis in an exploratory study because it is not possible to formulate the hypothesis in the initial stages in the case of an exploratory study. But the hypothesis must be set in the case of causal research. In all analytical and experimental researches, the hypothesis must be set as they give direction to the research undertaken. The next part is the operational definitions of concepts. The research plan has to bring out the major concepts that are used in the title as well as in its objectives. It has to state in clear terms how the concepts that are mentioned in the title as well as objectives are going to be measured. Say for example, in a study on impact of organizational climate on job satisfaction means we have two concepts here. One is the organizational climate and the other one is the job satisfaction. In this part, operational definition part, the researcher has to state what is meant by organizational climate according to this research and what is job satisfaction, because they need to be defined in such a way that it is possible for him to measure them and state the same in his research. The next part is the significance of the study. In this part, the researcher has to bring out the relevance and importance of the study that he has undertaken and in what way the findings of this research will be contributing to the policy formulation of the organization or the institution. And he must also bring out in what way this study is important with respect to theory building. A research plan has to state the geographical area to be covered by the study. It means the territorial area to be covered by the study. Say for example, in a study on customers' perceptions towards Swiggy services, the researcher has to state in his research plan where he is going to conduct his study. Is it in Mysore city or in Bangalore or Chennai or Mumbai, or is it going to be a part of a region in the country? So like this, the research plan has to state the geographical area to be covered by the research. Next, the research plan has to state the reference period of the study. It means, say for example, in a study on risk return analysis of selected stocks of NSE, the researcher has to state how many years stock price data he is going to consider for analyzing the risk return of the selected stocks. So depending upon the nature of the study, the period will vary. The next important part of a research plan is the methodology. In this part, the researcher has to state what is the type of research is his research. Is it a case study type, or is it a descriptive research? Is it an exploratory research, or is it a causal research? And he has to state what is the data source that he is going to consider. Is his research based on primary source of data, or is it going to be a secondary source? If it is going to be a primary data, then he has to state what is the method of collecting the data. Then he has to state what is the sampling frame that he is going to consider and what is the sample size and how he is going to draw the sample, what is the type of sampling that he is going to use for his research. And he should also state what is the proposed tools of analysis that he is going to use in his research. And if any models are used by the researcher, the same has to be explained in this part. Thus, the methodology will give you a clear idea as to what is the type of research, what is the data source, what is the method of data collection, and what are the proposed analytical tools and models to be used in the research. A research plan has to contain the proposed chapter plan for presenting the research findings. It is otherwise called as chapter scheme also. For example, in a case study type of research, the researcher can have the proposed chapter plan like Chapter 1 Introduction, Chapter 2 Review of Literature, Chapter 3 Theoretical Framework, Chapter 4 Company Profile, Chapter 5 Data Analysis and Interpretation, Chapter 6 Summary of Findings and Suggestions, Chapter 7 Conclusion. As a part of his research report, he must also present the appendix. In the appendix part, he can present the questionnaire along with the references. If there are any technical notes to be presented, that can also be a part of the appendix. The researcher has to state the time plan and the financial budget also in his research plan. In the time plan, he has to state what is the total duration that is required for conducting the entire research, and the same has to be split into what is the time required for each and every stage like review of literature, data collection, data analysis and interpretation, and presentation of the report. In the financial budget, he has to state what is the estimated expected cost of the project under major categories like the salary to be paid for the field supervisors, travel expenses to be borne by the researcher as well as the field supervisors, and the cost of any equipment like the cameras to be installed for any observation if the observation type of data collection is used. So the cost of such equipment must also be a part of the financial plan. Thus, a research plan is a master plan for conducting a research project. It is a blueprint of action to be taken by the researcher. It will state in clear terms what are the objectives to be accomplished by undertaking this research, as well as what are the various ways in which the research objectives can be accomplished. Thank you.